1.5 PCS CDMA. Mobile telephony adds the function of managing the mobility of terminals to the existing functions of fixed telephony. Furthermore, apart from mobility management, since the connection between the switching center and the terminal, which is the telephone, is a wireless connection, additional functions for wireless connectivity are also necessary. In this way, mobile networks additionally require devices that support not only the switching and routing functions of fixed networks, but also mobility management and wireless interface access functions. Figure 1-17 is a basic configuration diagram of a mobile network. Here, the BSC is a base station controller that manages the basic mobility of terminals, and the BTS is the base station we are familiar with, which supports wireless access functions. BSC and BTS are abbreviations for base station controller and base transceiver subsystem, respectively. In mobile communication networks, wireless communication and mobility functions are supported through these new devices called base stations and base station controllers, and these two devices together are also referred to as BSS, or base station system. Since the BSS did not exist in existing fixed communication networks, and performs the function of connecting the switching center and the terminal, it can also be understood as a local loop, or a subscriber line. The most significant characteristic of a base station is that it supports a wireless interface between the terminal and the base station, which are connected wirelessly. Communication occurs according to wireless communication protocols for connection through a wireless interface. Representative examples of these wireless communication standards include IS-95, IS-2000, and CDMA 2000. As the name suggests, the base station controller performs the function of controlling base stations. Mobile phones, which are the terminals of mobile communication, constantly change their locations not only within a cell, but also by moving between base stations. Therefore, it is necessary to always manage the location of the terminals and perform handoff functions to ensure that calls are maintained without interruption. And these functions are the primary roles of the base station controller. The base station controller is responsible for the function of transmitting user data received from base stations to the switching center, allowing it to be switched and routed at the switching center. In terms of network resource management, it manages the trunk frame offset, which can be understood as allocating trunk lines for the transmission of user information such as voice data. This function ensures that the frame offset of the trunk line for a call from a terminal that has moved to another cell continues to be used in the new cell, so that the call remains connected, enabling the frame offset previously used by the terminal to be used in the newly moved base station, is referred to as the handoff function between base stations, and this is performed by the base station controller that controls the base stations. Regarding the network configuration, it also performs the task of either transcoding the transmitted voice data into PCM or bypassing it. This is because even when voice coding is transmitted to a different communication network, such as a general fixed-line telephone network, the voice data must use the same coding. The MSC, which is a switching center for personal mobile communications, is no different from a general fixed-line telephone switching center, in that it performs switching functions to find and connect points, and routing functions to set the path to the connection point. However, in addition to these functions, the difference in mobile communications is that because subscribers move, the task of locating the receiving subscriber is performed. To manage the location of subscribers, the switching center includes a VLR that temporarily manages subscriber information. When a subscriber enters a service area, the VLR receives and manages the information of that subscriber from the HLR, and when they leave the service area, it deletes that information. For reference, VLR is an abbreviation for Visitor Location Register, and HLR is an abbreviation for Home Location Register. It configures the line to enable calls by receiving the subscriber's call request, and for special situations, it responds with guidance announcements, or interworks with voicemail system, facsimile mail system, voice activation detector, and short message service, so that supplementary services can be processed. And for the billing of mobile communication services, which are paid services, there is a computer called CSBS. The original information regarding call charges is information called CDR, which is provided by the switching center. Additionally, one important function of the CSBS is that it serves as the primary entity for mobile phone activation. Understanding the mobile phone activation process involves mapping the ESN, which is the terminal's electronic serial number, with the IMSIS, which is the phone number recognized by the system. This mapping is performed in the CSBS.